Hey, here's a box opening of product. Mardens, near us, the larger store over by the main mall. South Portland, although technically I think Mardens is in Scarborough. But they have these monopods. Sima collapsible monopod, model SMP-2C for $6.99. These are $25 on B&H Photo, which is a big camera store in New York. You can order it online, but so I thought this was pretty great. Now, Marden buys. It could be that maybe there was an overstock of this in some place and they bought it, or it could be that I'll just make up some story that someone that had a bunch of these, a camera store or something, was somehow damaged in a fire or rain or something, and the insurance paid them for the stock, and then the insurance company probably sold the stock to someone like B&H. To Mardens, the merchandise that was still fine. So who knows how they get it, but they get it. So let's look at it. It's got this nice kind of little case to carry it in, so you can carry it over your shoulder. I must admit that the strap could be a little longer, but not a big issue. It zips open, zip, zip, zip. And here we have the monopod. But at this point, you may not even know what a monopod is. Well, a monopod is, you could say it's the little brother of a tripod. A tripod is something that has three legs, monopod one. But a tripod, you fold the legs out, you set your camera on it, and you take some pictures. Well, there's a lot of places where that's just not very convenient, and tripods are bigger and harder to set up, carry, and all these things, so people resort to using monopods. So this extends to 67 inches. It's got these kind of locking devices. You can see this little channel that these locks slide on, or these slide on, but then it can be locked by pressing these down. So you can do any height up to 67 inches. It's kind of nice because on the base, you can see here there's this like spike, but with this rubber guard out all the way, it doesn't contact the surface with metal. So that's what you would use inside. And if you wind it down the other way, this tip sticks out, and then that's what you would use for on ground, where you can bite into it a little more. So why in the world do you want a monopod? Well, a monopod allows you to steady your camera, and you can get much sharper pictures or take pictures at much slower shutter speeds with regular or telephoto lenses than you can without it. Now, a lot of people will say, well, what are you talking about? My camera has image stabilization, so I don't have to worry about that. This is the digital age. Well, that actually doesn't work as well as stabilizing the camera in the first place. And a lot of digital cameras, if you're more photography oriented with film cameras, you're more familiar with the concept of fast lenses that have an f2 or f1.4 opening, and they allow a lot more light to come in. Well, a lot of digital cameras don't have that. They might have a 3.5 or even smaller f number. Smaller f number is a higher number, like f16 or whatever. But as you go to the zoom lenses, as you zoom them out, you lose a lot of light, and you lose the ability to hold the camera steady. So if you I've got my Nikon DSLR, and I've got the lens on it racked out to 200, I'm not going to be able to hold that steady at a 30th of a second. And I would think even at that, the digital image stabilization is probably not going to work as well. Well, come along with this. We can set it up to the height we want. We've got the tripod mount that I showed you. We can put a camera on there. We can listen to the parrots. We went directly to the bread bribe. Okay, so we can put a lens on here, a camera with a lens, a longer lens, and stabilize it much better. We could imagine that we might be in an indoor, let's just say, I'm indoors at some event, and it's dark there. I need to take a picture. Using something like this can stabilize the camera. So, of course, it's going to depend on the subject movement also. But basically, I'll be able to use a much slower shutter speed and still get an acceptable picture where I wouldn't have been able to before. And so we're talking about sharper images. We're talking about being able to shoot at lower light levels, but also to sometimes just having something attached to a tripod or a monopod makes you think a little more about composition, because you tend to see it as static, and you look at it, believe it or not, in a slightly different way. So now, this could be an emergency walking stick too, but really, these things are susceptible to dirt and sand. This probably isn't that good for taking to a beach. Just the kind of sand that could blow into it, you'd have to clean it out pretty well afterwards. So it isn't something that's great to have around a lot of loose dirt. And this is a lighter duty tripod. Okay, it sells for $25 list price. It was funny. I was actually in a thrift shop, and they had a really expensive tripod there, and I was looking at it saying, "Wow, I think it was like $200." And then I saw the same brand, someone selling a monopod of that brand, and they wanted like $200 or $300 for it. And sure enough, I went online, checked the price, and it was hundreds of dollars more. So you can easily spend $300 or $400 on a really ultra high quality monopod that you could beat a polar bear to death with if you had to. But we're light duty, we're economical, and this is going to do a lot. Now, also with this, people know this with selfie sticks too and things, but if you've got a self timer, you could hit the timing button, and then you could elevate it above a crowd, I suppose, around the corner. Or more interesting to me, with my bad back and looking at mushrooms, I could turn it upside down and see the screen. Especially with my DSLR, I can move the screen so I could see it, and I could position it and take an object of something very close to the ground or a few inches tall or whatever, and without having to go through the contortions of kind of almost laying down and taking the photo. So there's just a lot of advantage to it. And like I say, it's fairly light. I didn't see a weight spec on here. 67 inches, lightweight, compact size, 21 inches when collapsed. They've got different mounting adapters. This is a standard quarter-inch adapter for a camera. They say there are smartphone adapters and for tablets sold separately. And I have seen those things. Perfect when a tripod is inconvenient. It's a Sima brand, which I'm not familiar with that, but it's kind of funny. It looks almost like Sigma, which is a bigger brand name. But it's funny, it doesn't say where it's made. I read this was an American company, but that doesn't mean it was made in America, okay? I would assume it wasn't. And like I say, I don't have a weight spec. Maybe I'll weigh it and put that in the comments. But anyway, monopods, they're really a good option if you're interested in taking really high quality photos that are really sharp. And like I say, there's some other aspects of using this that can be quite of advantage in lower light levels and things like that, or getting up above people and things like that. So there we go. We'll do some things with it. I think I might do a series 2 on just explaining tripods. Like, no one uses tripods anymore. It's funny that almost at every thrift stop I see a tripod. Most of them are incomplete. In later years, tripods had a removable top, which was called a quick release, so that you could take the camera rather than fiddling with screwing it down. You could just flip a lever and pull it off. Well, all of those ended up with the cameras. So, I would say 90% of the tripods that are in secondhand shops and thrift shops are unusable.